time. Big time.
The big time.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time.
Big time.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time.
Big time. Big time.
She said to me, she says, you have such a pretty face. Do you enjoy being fat? I said, I worked very hard at it. It took me a long time to get this way.
Big time.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time.
Big time.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time. Big time.
The big time.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time.
It's the big time.
Big time.
The big time.
Big time.
The big time.
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 Big time. Big time.
It's the big time.
Big time. Big time.
The big time.
That is pretty good.
Hello! Welcome to Big Time. Look we're in person because A, we're both fully vaccinated, and B,
They couldn't keep us apart for that
they
long.
couldn't keep us
It's
apart.
been a year.
It's been so long. Anyway, so you get a Big Time with Ashley and Dara, and we are in person, which is super exciting.
We're super stoked.
We're super stoked. Welcome to Pop Culture Co-op, which is a station, a network for women and gender expansive people to talk about pop culture.
Yay!
Which is super fun.
Yeah.
We have a great show for you today, and I'm going to pass it over to the amazing Ashley to do the intros.
We're really glad you're here. That said, don't be a dick. Be nice in the chat if you're going to chat. We love the chat. We love an active chat. We pay attention to the chat. Don't be an a-hole. We're all here to have a good time.
Don't be a douche.
Don't be turfy.
Ew.
Don't be gross.
Yeah, we are no turfs, no swerfs.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it cool.
Yeah.
So we have a really exciting guest today. And I have known this broad for a long time, and she's incredible. My friend Joy Nash, who is, of course, the star of Dietland. She starred as Plum Kettle in the show Dietland. But I've known her. The first credit I knew about Joy was that she was in the duck sauce video Big Bad Wolf, which we will talk about. And like about a year before that, did a video called A Fat Rant that went viral on YouTube in about, I think, 2006, 2007. Anyway, she's a model, she's an actor, she's an activist, she's an incredible human being, and we are so happy to have her today. So give it up for Joy Nash, everybody.
And look at how beautiful she is. Look at her on the
Hi,
screen.
guys.
Hi, gorgeous.
Thanks for having me. Ashley, I first saw you on the cover of Figure magazine.
Oh my
right?
God.
At Lane Bryant.
Yes.
When you were a fat kid. And it was amazing. You're an inspiration.
Joy! Listen, I went to the Lane Bryant when that was out in Little Rock because I was at home and like literally got as close to the magazine as I physically could, and they still did not recognize me. And I was like,
You're like, I wonder who's on the cover of
right?
this
I was
magazine.
like, oh, I should get one of these. Just like simping for likes, basically.
I did a similar thing when Dietland was premiering. There was they did this promotion with a bunch of nail salons where they were giving like free manicures.
So smart.
So I went there, and there's like a big thing with my picture on it, and I was like standing in line, and I had an appointment that I had to get to, and the line was really long. So after like 40 minutes, I went to the front, and I was like, that's me.
I'm throwing the cupcake. That's me. What did
So
they were they nice about it once you were? They were like, oh my God, oh hi, yes, that's you.
So nice, and I felt like an asshole for saying anything. Period. Like,
Right,
but
of course.
same thing. Yeah,
Of course.
Oh, that's so funny.
God, that show was absolutely revolutionary. There's so much I want to talk about. We're so glad to have you on the show because, I mean, A Fat Rant was what, like 2005?
I think 6 or 7. I think
Okay.
7 maybe.
It was
YouTube was a year old.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, 2007
Right.
because the first viral video was the Here's the Earth video. So and Lazy Sunday from SNL.
Oh my God.
There's your
This
weird
is
pop
someone who
culture
does this
history.
shit
Look
for-
at you,
for a
internet
living.
historian.
Woo!
It's
I know.
amazing.
Well, here's the thing, because I'm a baby and I was in high school, so like, I was in like early,
Right.
like you remember the things that shape your
Right.
childhood.
Yes.
But yeah, the YouTubes, and also I worked as a production coordinator for like the first ever YouTube award shows.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
That's cool.
In my past life, I was a production coordinator for live award shows. So
Oh, that's fascinating.
is that a weird right out of college job? Yes.
Yeah. Super. But I can see why they'd want someone young for it.
Yeah, I did a lot of live like
Okay.
I ran red carpets and dealt with all of the like union laws.
Oof.
Whoa.
Yeah, I did the Genesis Awards, which is like the Humane Society award shows. I did the
Okay.
you did it too, Lauren. See, it's a really rough job, but it's a good one if you're young because it's like a 23-hour workday.
Oh God.
Because you load in the
golden
morning
time.
and then you load out the night of
Oh God, that sounds
Wow.
terrible.
at the Beverly Center in LA. They're always at the Beverly Hilton.
Oof.
They're always at the
Wait.
Beverly Hilton.
I don't know if it was that one, but I went to a Humane Society Awards.
That it's
one of my jobs in
definitely
a
the
previous
Genesis.
life. I was an assistant to a pet photographer
Oh.
who was magnificent. Photographs, Furtograpphs.
Wait, I'm obsessed with that, yes.
It's so good. You should look him up. And we did a calendar shoot of hero dogs at the Beverly Hilton.
Stop
for
it.
I don't know if it
ASPCA
might have.
maybe.
I think I remember this, and I think we worked the same event.
What year was this, Joy?
2010?
Maybe 2011,
Yeah.
2012.
Yep, that was when I did it. Yeah.
Love it.
We
Love
shot
it.
Kristen Chenoweth's dog. She was our big star at the time.
Nothing better than Kristen Chenoweth. I have a Kristen
She
Chenoweth
wasn't
story.
there, but I met her dog.
I've met her. She came to my high school.
What a life to live to be Kristen Chenoweth's dog.
Yeah, she came to our high school. She's very nice.
Okay, wait. So A Fat Rant was in 2006,
So yeah,
2007.
time is a circle.
So,
Sorry.
had you been working in the industry prior to that, and that rant was a response to that, or was that sort of your entry point?
No, I'd written that in 2000 as an assignment for a class in college.
Right.
Which, because I had just discovered like Marilyn Wan's Fatso, and like I would go to the library and check out all the books next to it because it was all about body acceptance, and it was revolutionary and blowing my mind.
Right. So you're getting like Wendy Shanker, you're getting like all those people, like Jennifer Weiner, like all those folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And like I said, I thought that I was in this little silo all by myself, and so I felt like I was making this thing to tell people, like, quit feeling sorry for me, like, back off, everybody, and to like explain where I was coming from, kind of. So I wrote that, and I would perform it like where I could at like open mics and stuff, which feels really inappropriate now. Like, I think that like the biggest it was the Jewish Women's Community Center.
Yes.
And I was like, I have something
I have something to share. Fuck yeah!
I feel like that's the shit I would pull at the Jewish Community Center. I'm into it.
That's incredible. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. and it, it went well, and people would say, like, do you have a recording of this? Is there something I can show my sister, whoever? And I didn't at the time. And then finally, like, YouTube existed, and I didn't have a reel. I was trying to be an actress. But there was nothing available for somebody who looked like me, who looked like us.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I have this thing that, people like, and I know a guy with a camera, and I could make a reel. And that's what I thought I was doing when I made that. And I put it on YouTube, and it, like, in a week or two, lots of people have watched it.
It's crazy. And the link is in the chat for anyone who hasn't seen it.
It blew up. And one of the things that I got really excited about, well, there were two things that really, like, turned me on about that video. One was that you keep sort of reinforcing, like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm living a full life as a human being. There is no benefit to me coming into a store where I can only buy socks and hair ties. Like,
and watching my friends try clothes on.
There's no point for that for me. Like, I have shit to do. Like, your opinion of me is not slowing me down at all. But I don't have to endorse your opinion of me. I also loved that you shot in stores live. Like, you're literally in the middle of racks of stuff, and you're like, they don't have anything for me. Like, what was that like?
It was, we did not ask permission. It was super quick and guerrilla.
Right. Awesome.
And honestly, that store did have things that I had purchased.
Right, because you're like, I love these people. This is why I'm going to shoot.
They're not going to kick me out.
They're friendly. Oh, man, that's lovely. And you called out Anthropology, who now, like, fully 20 years later, finally got their shit together and has a
taking credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your fault. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think you should own that, frankly. Be like, I finally shamed them into having a plus size line. It's ridiculous. So then I remember talking to Natty Farrow about you. She was doing the Glamazons, and she was like, have you seen the duck sauce video of Big Bad Wolf? I don't know, you guys. We might have to put this one in the chat as well. There is a music video.
I will find it.
It's actually a super fun song.
We were nominated for a couple of VMAs.
You should have been, because the song is super fun and the video is incredible. The song is called Big Bad Wolf, and it right, that's what it's called, isn't it? Big Bad Wolf. Yeah. And basically, you guys, I don't want to ruin anything, but people have faces on their genitals. And Joy is the romantic lead of the video.
Oh, thank you.
As she should be.
And it's really, really exciting. Like, it was a very heady time for music videos, I feel like.
It was, yeah.
I wish we could play it and not have any kind of takedown, but Twitch is not nice.
They're bastards. But
I put it in the chat, so if anybody
honestly.
wants to find it, you can find it in the
you
chat.
can pull it up. What was that experience like?
It was awesome.
Was it okay? Okay, good.
She was like, it's so great.
Those dudes go either way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know those dudes, but I feel like dudes that make that kind of music are either like the funnest dudes or like the worst dudes. So like,
totally. No, they were really cool. I didn't spend a ton of time with the artists, but the director was a guy named Keith Schofield, who is a mad scientist, bizarro genius. He's done so many commercials, like things that just blow your brains. Like, look him up.
I will.
And the audition, what's that?
I will. I'll look him up.
Sorry. Oh. The audition I submitted for the role of Melanie's crotch face. So I was really excited to get to read for that. But instead they cast me as Melanie. So and I don't think she'll mind me saying this. The girl who plays my crotch face is a woman named Amanda Diebert, who is a writer and an artist in her own right. She's all over Twitter. And we're intimately connected forever and ever. Amen.
Right? I mean, you can't. If someone played your crotch face, that's a lifetime bond. I feel like
it really is.
For sure.
And the thing, like she was so cool. So the audition, we had to, and the way they shot it, like the crotch face is on their knees wearing a cape, essentially a green screen cape around their neck. And then the person, I stand over her shoulders like you're playing chicken.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
I assumed that was a lot more separate than that.
No. Oh, no. we were right up there in there together.
That's a lot.
And she was awesome. She was so cool. And like, it was no big deal. We're just doing this thing, man.
Sure.
Lauren in the chat has said if she were going to cast her crotch, it would be you.
Oh, my friend Lauren said that I would be her crotch.
So
that makes me so
Who would you
happy.
cast as your crotch?
Right?
Tell us in the chat.
Yeah, tell us in the chat who do you cast as your crotch. Lauren, I'm so touched.
Oh.
You might be my crotch too, baby. I really appreciate that. I love that video so much. But I also like, representation-wise, it was really exciting because you were one of the first fat or plus size performers that I had seen in a music video who was a love interest, and that
so to speak.
But you were like, I mean, crotch face notwithstanding.
I felt really sexy. I felt like in
you're
spite of
so
everything,
hot in that video.
And it's kind of like, I'm sure before that point, when you're costuming yourself in a lot of things, as you have to when you're a fat actress, you're expected to bring your own things. And as a safety measure, you should fucking do it. But only bring things that you're absolutely in love with and want to wear. Because without fail, they're like, oh, this is great. And it's the stained bra you showed up in. I was in my pajamas in like 3 separate projects because that's what I wore to set. And they're like, let's just keep you in this. And I didn't have it in me to be like, no.
Right. Louis did that to me. Louis C.K. I showed up and he was like, this is good. And I was like,
it's pajamas. You rolled out of bed. It's 5 a.m.
No, I didn't want to wear this. I'm playing an elementary school teacher. What is this? No, it's so disappointing.
So the costumer pulled out the ugliest bra, which was like beige and stainy, and I stuck up for myself. The first ever. And I think she bought that. It was like a leopard print bra. And she's like, yeah, try this on. Oh, okay. And that's what stuck. And I was happy with it.
It's so hot. It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And we, like I said, we have it in the chat, so if
Right, everybody can
please
check
make
it
sure
out.
you check it out. And we also in the chat have the link to the Fat Rant, which again I think was very ahead of its time. I think
100%.
if you look at like, especially now like on TikTok, I don't know how like aware or connected you are to the current conversations happening in the fat positivity movement, but there's a lot of big conversations happening about a lot of the things you talked about in that video, especially like like the clothing, about mid-size, about being active. I'm just curious, like, are you invigorated by the fact that this conversation's happening now? Are you heartened that it took 14 years to do it?
No, I never thought that it would happen at all. I thought that, I'd be out here all by myself forever and ever. I'm shocked at how many options we have now. It's amazing. I haven't watched it in a really long time, but I think I love the conversation about worth not being attached to health. And I feel like maybe if you said earlier, like if there was anything I would want to change about that, I feel like, I don't know that I knew that at the time yet, or understood that, like, you don't have to be a good fatty to be valuable.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I think that's a really
health
good
is not
point.
a moral imperative.
Right, exactly, that we don't owe anyone our health. And the idea of the good fatty, absolutely, like, at that time, it was hard enough for people to believe that there were good fatties. That there was, like, you know what I mean? That we were fighting for a whole nother battleground,
Yeah.
I think, at that point, which was to be considered as romantic leads and to be considered as sexual creatures. And what I love about Dietland, I just want to get into Dietland because we have so much to talk about it. It's such an exciting, revolutionary show.
Yes.
But what I love, even from like the first few minutes of the pilot, that show deals with the weird dichotomy of being ignored but also objectified, humiliated and sexualized. And the thing that, like, I think happens to all women to a certain degree, but fat women especially, in a life culture and like in an online culture, which is that you are sexualized up until the point that you deny attention to someone. And then all of a sudden you're a fucking fat bitch.
You're a fat
or
bitch.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. You're like hot until the moment that you're like, no, thank you.
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
And then
actually,
you're disgusting.
You're so lucky
and,
that
yeah.
I was paying attention to you, you fat bitch. And you're like,
yeah.
whoa.
Exactly. Which is something that Dietland captures so well with street harassment and and also how that impacts your Plum's relationships with people because of her expectations of of perceiving like what they're there for.
Totally.
Oh God, I love
that's
show.
something I personally identified with big time. Like feeling like I'm too smart to believe that you're actually interested in me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like in real life, I had an issue where like someone was flirting with me that I really liked, had like a lifetime crush on. And I completely missed the opportunity because even though every single action this person did was like a flirtation, I just couldn't imagine that he would be interested in me back.
Right.
Yeah.
Just couldn't imagine it. And then I I was like, oh, I guess we're great friends. And like now I look back and I'm like, I'm a freaking idiot. Like,
yeah,
this dude was hitting on me hard. And I'm like,
damn it.
Damn it.
So for those that are watching
I love
that have
I mean,
not seen Dietland, I highly recommend it.
It's
It
on
is-
Hulu.
And the book is also fantastic. But the show hews pretty closely to the book. I was sort of watching, I rewatched a few of the episodes, Joy, in prep for this. And I was like, oh, right, like the book really throws you immediately into the Jennifers and like that whole thing. And I realized that there's something really beautiful about the show in that first beauty closet scene where she's putting makeup on you, which is so stunning. But also it's that idea of sort of easing someone into their own ideas of worth, and like that they don't have to, like, it's really interesting the sort of switcheroos with like, you're beautiful but no one owes anyone beauty, right? Like, beauty is not a rent we pay to occupy space on this planet.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like the further you get, what I love about the show is the further you get into it, the more those concepts are introduced, and sort of like, it's really smartly done for a television audience that may not have been as receptive to revolutionary concepts around fatness as I was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Right? Like, how was that? Because you read the book beforehand, I assume. I feel like we've talked about this before, that you read it and loved it. So what did you think when you read the show versus when you read the book?
They felt really similar. It felt ripped from the pages. There's a couple of characters that exist in the show that weren't in the book. But it adheres pretty closely. And I love that it kind of, I mean, it feels like, maybe this is another topic, but body positivity is like fat people wanting to say, I'm pretty too. And fat liberation, like radical fat activism, is saying, who cares about being pretty? Why is pretty the fucking goal? And that is a step too far for lots of people.
Yes.
Like, it's even, I catch myself at times, like, shooting that show, like being in plum drag and having, at the beginning, having a, drab kind of haircut and all black shapeless stuff. I felt invisible in certain ways, like moving around set, like people, I'm all red. Wow. But like, I wear bright colors, I wear makeup, I look people in the face, and I don't get ignored a lot, but no. Plum does. And people would in that. And then at the same time, and maybe this had to do with being number one on the TV show, but people were still kind to me. They were still nice to me. And and I would catch myself being like, what, even now, even when I look boring or whatever, like, that's, I had to unpack that for a bit.
That's so interesting. That idea that, like, especially like as a fat person, and I definitely see myself doing this, like making myself bigger, like personality wise, as opposed to physically. Or like, I wear a lot of big clothes, I wear crazy hairstyles, I obviously do a lot of makeup. Like, it's so interesting, that idea that like maybe that's what I'm doing. I don't even think I thought about that.
Right.
I don't want to be ignored. I don't want to be a plum who's walking down the street and only being sexualized by randos, but not being noticed anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
such a weird. Go ahead.
No, you.
Well, just like I love all the trappings. I love makeup. I love even like corsets and crazy like I like a costume and creating a front. But to me, that says more about the person who I'm interacting with than it does about me. Mm-hmm. Like, if you treat me differently when I'm dressed differently, that says more about you, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What were you going to say?
No, that's absolutely
so
correct. I wondered how it felt. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
I just wondered how it felt going from who you are to being Plum. It was really interesting to me in the pilot that you say very early, I'm saying this from the future. Right? So that we know that the Plum that we're seeing is not the Plum that currently exists. Which is really interesting to me. And I found myself as an actor who feels a responsibility, sort of like beautifully torn between like, well, this is how Plum Kettle dresses, and this is who Plum Kettle is. And if Plum Kettle is a victim, it is not of her fatness. It is of the idea that has been perpetrated upon her that she is not enough. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I was also like, but Joy, like, you could make the same argument for, like, us, even in all of our, like, you know, like,
We all were so good at immediately jumping into that, though.
yeah, we were
like,
yeah, exactly. And so, like, I guess that's sort of what I wondered, where you felt like Plum was you and where she wasn't.
That's a good question.
I know.
One thing I want to say, I can't remember where, but somewhere there was a comment that was expressing the frustration that I think all of us have had, that was basically like, you know, here we are with another show with a fat person who hates herself and, you know, can't do this and can't do that, has all these problems. Why can't we just have a fat person that doesn't have any problems, doesn't have anywhere to grow, essentially? Like, that's what drama is. Like, why would you watch a show that of a perfect person who never fails, who has everything figured out and is sparkly 100% of the time? Like,
right.
Come on, we need some pathos.
Right. It's not Ferris Bueller. But also, like, those people exist on this show. Like, Bethany Kay, Jen Ponton, like, these bitches are playing those characters on this show. They exist.
Yes.
There's that scene in the first episode where I'm assuming that's Bethany.
That's Bethany, yeah.
Who, like, walks into the screen wearing the coolest outfit in the world and is like, oh, no. I don't hate myself. I just, like, want to, like, my back hurts.
It's
like,
so
I'm not
good.
losing weight because I want to lose weight because I don't love myself. I'm losing weight because my back hurts and I need my back not to hurt. And that to me was so life-changing because, like, in a personal note, like, I'm starting to weightlift again, like, without roller derby. Like, I am in a lot of pain and, like, there's a lot of, like, but I don't hate myself. Like, I'm not trying to lose weight, but, like, you know, my body hurts and I want to fix that. And that's such a complicated feeling. And to have that said out loud on a show is, like, so powerful.
No.
Yeah. I love that scene so much, man. Sarah Stiles, she's the leader.
Sarah's amazing. Yeah.
I love her so much. Ooh. But even that just that like when she leaves and Plum is just like, like, did everybody see that? Is this allowed?
Are we allowed?
You're clutching the back of that chair. You are turned 180 degrees, clutching the back of the chair, and I was like, ooh, that is some good face acting, Joy Nash. You are just like,
I didn't mean to toot my own horn.
No, you're captivated, and I loved it, and it made me so happy.
I was like a total creep at the beginning when we were on the Zoom before we started, and I was just like, oh, she's so beautiful.
Yeah, she is beautiful.
Which isn't a surprise, but, like, look at you.
Sorry. So we interrupted your answer, which is about how you are and are not like Plum Kettle.
We're at this. We're so good at a talk show.
Yeah, we're real good at a talk show.
I love it. I feel like I have been Plum for a long time, and it took, but I think I was like secretly Plum, and I had this armor constantly that my it was defensiveness, kind of like look at me, get your eyes full. I'm your worst nightmare. Drink it in. I'm still walking around. Like, it was like aggressive, and I mean that worked for me. But when you get to the like being Plum was about like taking that off and like talking about honestly, like, I'm afraid that once you see who I really am, like, all of my worst fears are going to come true. And as like the show went on, as the episodes were like written and we were making them, like, obviously I wish we could have had more, but I was like, I felt like I was learning from this character. Like how do you date someone and not be weird? Like write me a script, Marty Noxon. Let me know what happens next.
Tell me how to not be weird on dates, please.
Yes.
For sure.
I also think that you, like, at least, like, looking from an outsider, because I know y'all are friends already, and like looking at your career, it does seem like you're a lot ahead of things. So like you're having these conversations.
So sweet.
Well, but you have like, I mean, if you think about like you did the YouTube video, which was a conversation that happened way ahead of its time in terms of how we talk about bodies and who we are and where we belong, quote unquote. But like Dietland came out, Shrill came out not that long after, from like what I remember. Like all of these other shows about and the conversations about body positivity really started at like, I think Dietland is one of those rare frustrating things that was ahead of its time by like a season.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you watch a show that's ahead of its time by like 10 years, but like Dietland was ahead of the conversation by like a year, which is such a frustrating thing because like it was so good, but like people weren't ready for the conversation quite yet. And then they were ready, like the ERA. Our chat is ridiculous. I love you, Lauren.
ERA. Someone just said.
But like, I think that that's something that you're commonly ahead of those conversations. And I wonder how that, like, are you watching these things that are coming through now? And I guess this is a similar question from before, but like, are you excited to start having these conversations finally? Or are you just frustrated that like you are so ahead, like you're so ahead of it? Like, what conversation are you ready for next so that we know what we're ready to talk about?
Well, I'm not frustrated. I'm because I never thought it would happen.
Yeah.
I'm rejoicing that it exists.
Yeah.
And like I kind of whatever.
Please.
I feel like Dietland and Shrill. This is all a culmination of the stuff that not even I started back in the 60s, 70s, 50s. Like people have been cooking on this forever. And believe it or don't believe it, but Saray Walker, the author of Dietland, told me that she saw my fat rant. That was one of the things she watched in 2006, 7, 8. And it helped her in her journey. And then she wrote a novel that became a TV show that I got to star in. Like we're changing the world drip by drip by drip by drip. And I mean, I hope something happens. What I hope for the future, I hope that there is more fat romantic leads, that it's not outrageous, that it's not wild and crazy. I hope that there are more shows with multiple fat people in them, where it's not outrageous and all we have to do is talk about being fat. Like, I mean, I want to normalize it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fun if we got to be on a show together finally?
It's
Joy?
gonna happen.
Because it's literally like one or the other of us. Like,
That seems fair.
a
Like, I mean, it's
lot
frustrating, but I can
of
imagine
times.
that's the conversation.
Yeah, it happens a fair amount. But
So we do this thing on every show, and I think that it is worth.
It's
I have
probably
them
the time.
brought up. So I think it's worth we ask questions, the same 4 questions of every host. And
boy.
the first, no, don't worry, you're already impressed.
yeah, you're all good.
The first one is always, how do you identify? Is there a way you do not identify in terms of your body? So do you identify as fat, as curvy? Do you like have words you are like no go?
All of those. Fat primarily. I don't identify as wayfish, thin. I'm white. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty, beautiful.
Yay!
I love that answer.
It's true.
And it's true.
Yep.
So then how has being fat? We just like to check because some people, we're learning like boundaries. I know we usually ask this before the show starts because we want to make sure people are comfortable. And I think it's a really cool thing. And I know we said this to you that like so far every single person has been so fine and happy with like fat is the word that they use. But how has being fat, and this is my favorite question we ask, added value to your life experience? Because we don't always focus.
That's good.
That is an Ashley question.
It is.
And I have to tell you, I say this every time we ask it, but it changed my life. Because it's that idea of like, instead of focusing on like, oh, I was fat and I overcame it and now I'm funny. It's like, no, but like there are so many good values. So like, what about being fat has added value to your life?
It's so good. How is it? It's so on the semi-negative, it's a bit of a bullshit detector. It makes it easy to easier to pinpoint people who are going to blow smoke up your ass. And it because people don't think that you're important or, whatever, because you can be invisible, they may let down their mask and let you know who they really are. And that's really valuable information. In other ways, I want to say, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a specific thing that, like health-wise, kind of, that like fat has protected me. I've been really fortunate with doctors so far that they've listened to mostly what I've had to say.
Wow.
But even so, like, I mean, I had my ACL replaced like 5 years ago.
Oh, you and me. Also 5 years ago. We're like...
Oh, 2016 was a good year for that surgery.
2016 was a great time to get your ACL replaced.
Absolutely.
You were like, I might have to run for my life.
We might have the same ACL.
I should get an ACL replaced.
It's
before
true.
the
It's
revolution
What
comes.
a weird thing.
Okay.
Right.
2016. I'm just riffing.
That's true.
Yeah, no, it was good. But because I tore it 7 years before that, but I was, I'm a coper. That's what the physical therapist said, and so then once I had the surgery and was able to do therapy, I blew through it really fast because I was like, holy shit, everything works again. I can trust my body. Like, I don't know. So maybe that's positive. Does that have? Yeah.
No, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, as someone who also is a coper and tore their ACL and had therapy, like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Being able to trust your body, and that's where I learned I liked weightlifting.
I should get into that again.
Yeah, during the physical therapy.
That's a place the boys like to hang out to. Not that that's what is important in life.
Are you kidding?
But that's
do you not know that that's how I decide on half the shit I do? Is like, will I meet new people that are romantic interests? Because my single life.
Interesting. Okay, then.
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
It's a place where men are.
Okay.
Or women, or
a
singles.
girl can only spend so much time at Home Depot.
Yeah.
They're getting weird in Best Buy.
I mean, I always, what's the joke? Like, you got to meet up at the library.
Right? My mother used to tell me that you could meet men at the cattle auctions, that you had to go to, like, where they, like, are auctioning, like, at estate sales, you got to go outside to where they're, like, auctioning the equipment off and not stay
You're looking
inside.
at me like I
Because then you know who can afford you.
Yeah.
Right. Go where the milkers are, I guess.
To be fair, she's looking at me like I would understand this being from Los
Someone
Angeles.
who's raised in L.A. County.
I moved from LA to New York City.
Yeah,
I'm like, sure,
no,
cattle auctions, a thing I know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of
How
things.
are you supposed to get to a cattle auction?
What is a cow? Like, what? How do cows work?
Yeah, you don't really want
Yeah.
that. That's like some farmers
I
only
met
shit.
my first cow in my 20s. I got taken to a cattle farm in Indiana because people had found out I'd never seen a cow in person.
Oh, I love it.
That's beautiful.
I didn't milk it, but like I got to go to like a cattle farm
That would
to
have
like
been
see a cow in person.
It's your first day.
Yeah, you gotta like see a cow in person. That's a thing. That's totally a normal thing that most people go to cattle
You
auctions.
have to like go on.
It was just so funny.
trip
She looked
for.
at me like, "Yeah, you know."
I did. Sorry.
So, how has being fat, like, because this is a pop culture network and a pop culture show, and because you're part of that pop culture, like, conversation.
For sure.
Like, how have you been impacted by fatness in pop culture? And that can be a positive and negative. And, like, what have you learned from that? And, like, how do you adjust to it? Big questions, I know. I'm sorry.
That's a big old question,
Why?
and I like it.
It's a conversation starter.
It is. I wish I had them to study on.
We like to surprise you with it.
Yeah, right. I feel like being fat and an actor, and it's probably the same. Ashley, I know every time I see another actress and I look her up and I want to know all about her. And honestly, it was like meeting you and getting to know you. And because I used to feel like really threatened about it. Like she's got this. When am I gonna? Oh God! Like you're getting everything. Oh no! but then you meet somebody and you're incredible, and we're not that much alike. We're
we're really
and that's
not.
all
Like,
we have in common.
yeah,
You know?
we're
And I think,
absolutely
we're-
different people. When they were like, "Oh yeah, no, Joy's doing Dietland," I was like, "Oh, you know what?
That makes sense.
That's right." Like, I was like, I wanted that part real bad, and then they were like, "It's Joy Nash," and I was like, "Nope, that's correct. That is what
Mr.
that
Robot,
show needs to
same
be."
same exact.
You know, I was like, "Yep,
Oh.
yep,
See, that's so interesting.
same diff." Yeah,
That
absolutely.
idea of,
But
like-
it's, I mean, like, I you know, as like, I feel like the more time you spend in the industry working, you're like, people, like, what comes to you is going to come to you, and there's nothing that's going to pull it away from you.
We are
Like,
not
you
competition
can't.
for each other. At all.
No.
If anything, our representation and visibility means that there's going to be more of us in the future because
100%.
we are undeniable. You and me and Nicole Byers and like all the fucking people out there making shit happen are undeniable, and they can't keep us away forever.
Yeah. God damn it.
Damn it!
Whether we have to force them into it.
Yeah.
So true.
And then our last of the 4 big questions. I know, I feel like the 4...
I feel like I answered the half that question.
Also,
Sorry
every
about
time
that.
every time that
got
I say
excited.
the 4 questions, I laugh because I realize it sounds like Passover.
Why is this show different from
How
other
many
shows?
how many times have I sung the 4 questions on this show?
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
Man,
good.
Ishtana Halayla. I had to sing them this year. I was the youngest one at the Seder this year.
Aw.
You love being in your 30s and being the youngest one. They're like, can anybody do it? I'm like, I am the child. Also, our chat just said a show with Ashley, Joy, and Nicole would be a must watch. Can I be like an extra?
Yes, please.
It can be my
Yes.
breakup role.
Can we also have Retta? Because I'm really
Yes.
obsessed.
And 80 Bryant.
And 80 Bryant!
And
I'm
Lindo.
obsessed with Retta. And
I was just
we
talking
could all
about
be
how
the
my
sister wives of like John Hader and Winston Duke. That would just be
Winston
like,
Duke. Please give me Winston Duke. Holy shit.
come on.
And
So-
Jen Ponta, and we should quit because I know that there's people who are forgetting it. And
I know.
So
There's
many
so many
good-
fucking talented people. And we all know each other because we all sat in rooms waiting to audition.
And we have our eyes peeled, like,
Yeah.
and that's the fat person on screen is always the one I want to know more about.
Absolutely.
Always.
There's that girl on Big Sky that I had never seen before, and I was like, "Who are you?" Click, 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 click. You know, yeah.
I mean, I am a person who watches television with IMDb open. I'm fine. I can
smart.
say words. I'm doing
That's
excellent.
smart. Yeah. Oh, we have one more question.
Oh yeah,
Really
we have.
smart.
So the 4th question of our 4 questions. So hopefully you can lean back and get comfortable. Like we're at a Seder. I'm gonna just lean into being real Jewish. Is that like? Listen, my last name is Feynman. I had no choice, and now there's a Feynman on SNL, which ruined my life because my weird hidden dream of being on SNL is ruined because they were gonna be like Chloe, and I'll be like, no, like me.
Right.
No relation. Just all the Jews in the world have 4 last names. As a fat artist, do you feel a responsibility to change or impact culture? And if so, how?
Yes. I think it's important not to reinforce shitty stereotypes. I understand needing to keep the lights on and a roof over your head and doing things that aren't perfect or ideal. But personally, I try to be honest and true to myself. And like, I mean, only once in my life, I had an audition for a Weight Watchers commercial, which I didn't get, but probably because they could smell on me that I'm not interested. I think in the, I called it Dub Dub. I changed the copy, which I guess is a
Dub.
no-no.
No, you
They're
can't.
like, "Don't
I
say
work
that."
in marketing. You cannot change our copy.
Dub Dub
What
is
up?
fantastic.
Oh,
I only would have liked it more if you would have like thrown the Dub Dubs Like,
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm on a Weight Watchers
you
commercial.
genuinely would have sold me on the product if you had like shown up as, and so thank God you didn't. Thank God you did not use your persuasive powers.
Well, they just
to
rebranded.
be like the dub.
Well, they rebranded as WW because they won't go by Weight Watchers anymore because, like, you know, that's shitty. So now if they had rebranded as Dub, I think I'd been way more happy.
Yeah.
But that's super fair, that idea that you so when you look at roles, you, like, definitely try to make sure you're not. And I think that Ashley, we were talking about this earlier, had a great question that we had been discussing about being on a set like Dietland.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring it back because I knew she wanted to ask
I
this.
did want to ask it. There's something really interesting that I feel like I would love to hear your take on, which is that, like, there are so many thin people on the story of Dietland, right? And it's like, the story is revolutionary, it is subversive, but at the same time, that is happening in an industry where those pressures are very alive. And that doesn't mean that those things exist separately. They're intersectional, right? Like, this story is happening because that life is so pervasive and because people's livelihoods depend on that. Like, what is it like working with thin performers on a show where revolutionary fat liberation is centered?
Ooh, I love that. It was fucking awesome. I've worked relatively not that much. I did a spot on, I did a guest star after Dietland. That was kind of the first time that I'd spent, besides whatever, Twin Peaks, I didn't know what it's usually like. And on Dietland, it wasn't a thing. Like, I didn't, and maybe I was in a bubble, which is entirely possible, where people are like, Joy's coming, don't, you know? But there wasn't diet talk. There wasn't, I mean, if somebody was on a cleanse, you know, in the makeup trailer, like, you just don't keep asking questions about it. Like, it's a really boring conversation, and I'd rather talk about this. Let's change the subject. Let's, you know,
so boring.
Like, I mean, now I've been on other sets, and like, you know, as a thank you gift, the director buys a food truck, and it's hamburgers, and it's like eruption, hooray! Everybody, the crew is eating the hamburgers, and there's like a row of actresses who are really interested, but no. Oh, are they crunchy? Are the fries crunchy? Oh, no. What is it? Is it salty? Oh, is it? Oh, no, I've got this. I'm fine. Like, and it's like, you've worked so hard and you're finally making money and you can't eat food. You can't enjoy any of it. You can't go to a fancy restaurant. It's awful. Yeah. But it was not like that on Dietland whatsoever. It was, and in fact, there was another actress, oh God, she was like, usually she was playing one of the Jennifer girls, and you know, they're like revolutionaries. Like, it's not about how cute they are. Right. And she was like, this is great. I wish I played more parts like this, where I'm wearing like coveralls and a beanie, and that's perfect. You know, like,
right.
Ooh, that's cool.
Right. Parts that are based on what you're doing as opposed to what you look like while you're doing it.
Yes,
which is
and that you're not going to be okay if you eat 3 meals. Yes, like,
right, like if you eat to like not be hungry anymore.
Can I just comment very offhandedly on the cup you're drinking out of, because it's very cool? Is that a Madonna Inn cup?
Yeah.
Yes, I do it. I want one so bad.
What is it?
It's from Madonna Inn, which is like that really awesome, tacky, kitschy. I went to steak dinner with my mom there on a road trip. They have like a cool, but look at that cup. Look at that cup.
Yeah, it's a real cool cup.
I got so excited. Sorry.
For sure.
They're so beautiful, and I got really excited because I went. She has a Madonna Inn cup.
I love
it. They sell them in the gift shop.
They have like themed rooms.
Oh, wow.
So they have like a caveman room.
Every single one is different.
Every single room is different. Yeah.
There's a waterfall. We stayed in one with a carousel.
What?
Yes.
Now I want to go.
Yeah, no, I feel like, so
Now I
I
wanna
was
go.
going to ask you a question about living in LA. Oh, have we never talked about this place from your husband?
I can't believe I
I'm
feel
sorry,
like
Leon, but I'm going to take Ashley.
I did not know. I guess he knew. I've never heard of
Yeah,
this
so
place.
I will drag you there because my mom and I
you
took a
gotta
road
go.
trip. We
I
went down
do
the
feel
one.
betrayed, Leon, in a
It's
weird
a California
little way.
thing. But I was
It's
going to
like,
ask you,
how
you
didn't
moved,
we?
you're living in LA. I don't know if you're from LA. I actually didn't ask this question about, she's all yours. Thank you. I like a road trip. What can I say? My mom and I did the whole one thing. We went down the full one. We
Oh,
a
wow.
week, and we drove. I mean, I'm like, again, but
Yeah,
like being someone over, like, not overweight, but like fat. Being someone fat.
Yeah,
in
because
LA.
what's the weight?
Because what weight are we over?
Yeah, what are we
Over
See,
what
we're
weight?
still learning.
Over
We're still
what
learning the
weight?
things. We're still adjusting the language, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm not gonna, you know. But being someone who's fat in LA, like, I think I still struggle a lot, even not living in LA anymore, coming to terms with seeing the people around me. I always make the joke that LA is the place where very thin people move, and then they have their thin kids, and then you're surrounded by thin people. And having been raised there, it was very frustrating to always look around and just see, like, you know, because the way to be thin, as you say in the fat rant, is to have thin parents and then thin grandparents. It's not a diet. And
Right.
so, like, how do you work to overcome that idea of, like, anywhere else in the country, you're going to see more body variation. And I don't think that you see that so much in LA. And, like, how do you work through that, especially working in an industry that's so body conscious? And I mean, this is a question I will ask of Ashley too, but also in New York, you see more bodies than you do in LA.
Yeah,
sure.
that's probably true.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm still working on it. I grew up here 60 miles east, but I've been in LA for 20 years, and like this is all I've known. So it's the water I drink. And maybe that has made me think that it's more of a personal thing. Like fat phobia. It's like, oh no, they don't like me. It's something wrong with me, not even my body, which is perhaps more damaging.
Yeah.
It is more damaging, and I think that's actually very true. There's a weird thing that I have with some actor friends of mine that love me and care for me greatly, and then we have an experience where I'm treated markedly differently, and I'm like, oh, that person doesn't like fat people. And they're like, no, that's not.
But you're
that's
so
not,
great.
blah, blah." And it's like,
She was so nice to me.
right, exactly. And I'm like, okay, so our options here are either you believe me when I tell you that that person doesn't like fat people, or you figure out another reason why she was entirely shitty to me and very, very kind to you in like a 4-minute interaction. So like, let's work this out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one? Which one is it?
You choose.
So as we're nearing the end of the hour, I just want to kind of bring it back and ask you if there's anything else, especially being on a show that's specifically about fatness and pop culture, that you wanted to talk about. Any parting messages for our viewers?
I feel like I had one that was dancing around and it's sprouted wings and left us for the evening.
Well,
I don't know. It's exciting. I feel like we're making a difference, even if it feels slow. And what's happening on TikTok, on Instagram, like the fact that even when we're being shadow banned, that somebody has the agency to stand up and saying, I'm being shadow banned. This isn't fair. And people listening, people believing. It may only be a few now, but it will be more and more and more. And like, things are changing. They're changing.
that's awesome. So I want to thank you for coming on our show. You're invited back literally anytime.
Joy, we will have you on anytime you want to come.
Anytime. I mean, I'm going to still try to get you to have your own show on the co-op, but you are invited back on Big Time whenever you feel like it. You have been a pleasure.
Oh!
And,
I did think of the thing.
yes!
Yay!
It was so I was talking with a friend today about who is a straight white cisgendered thin male, saying and who's great and has come with me to like fat positive events and stuff. And he was like, I feel uncomfortable using the word fat sometimes.
Right.
And I was like, good. Like, you kind of should, because depending on who you're talking to, you could offend somebody who it doesn't think the way I do. But personally, I see it as a sort of a litmus test. When I see somebody who looks like him use that word with neutrality, so I know that you don't think it's a bad thing. You've read the book I have. Like, we're on the same page, and it's a shorthand that makes me feel like I can trust you.
That's so true, without bias. Like when they use it as a morally neutral term.
Yes.
You go like, you
this.
are educated enough in this specific topic.
Yes.
Because
I don't have to explain to you.
I don't have to go through this whole like, oh, but you're not. Oh, you shouldn't say, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we can skip that part and get to the part that's actually vital and important about
who we actually are.
Who we are.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah,
That's nice.
Joy.
Fuck yeah, Joy.
Fuck
You
yeah,
guys are
Joy.
so awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is
We love having you. We're such fan, or I mean, you're friends, but I'm a fan.
But I'm also a fan. You guys, Joy is on Instagram. She is on. What are your? You also.
I have your socials underneath you for
Perfect.
TikTok and not TikTok, but making shit up. Twitter and Instagram. On Instagram at The Real Joy Nash. On Twitter at Joy Nash. Anything else you want to plug while you're here?
That's all. I joined TikTok, but I'm not TikToking yet.
I love TikTok. It's a problem. I need to sleep at some point. You've got John Maxwell in the chat said you have very supportive friends. I assume he's shouting himself out, but I just want you to know that happened. Fully aware of how chat works on TikTok. Thank you for joining.
He's texting me also right now.
The co-op has
Chill out, John Maxwell. Chill out.
Right.
Chill out.
Knock it back a bit.
The
John.
co-op has some really cool shit coming up. I love that I turned our read into bullet points so I can say cool shit coming up.
Yeah, please.
Tomorrow's shows are really cool. We have Theater Games with Maddie, which is going to be primarily talking about the Jagged Little Pill controversy. There is a non-binary panel happening talking about the non-binary erasure that happened in the Jagged Little Pill storyline, specifically about Joy, and we have a non-binary host hosting. So please watch Theater Games at 7 o'clock tomorrow on the Co-op, which is the same place. And then we also have a show later that night, which is I think 9 to 11. It's a long one, but it is about Breakfast at Tiffany's and Cats, a weird mix for Trollopsism, which is about sex work in pop culture. So meet us here. We're never going anywhere. And you can follow us here, subscribe. We have a PayPal link to donate. You can look at the Abouts and see all the things, and we're on all the socials. And, you know, it's like the whole, like, subscribe and follow.
Click below.
Click below with the link.
Joy, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Our guest was Joy Nash. Mwah! We love you. And thanks for joining us on Big Time, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's the big time.
Big time.
The big time.
Big time.
The big time.
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 Big time. Big time.
It's the big time.
Big time. Big time.
The big time.
big time.
She said to me, you know,